Let's start rolling. Just need wall space today. Ball, little pillow. It's not mandatory. And then a towel or a yoga strap. Okay. So we're gonna start rolling the feet. We're gonna spend 2 minutes on each side. And today I encourage you just to kind of use your wall for support. Maybe just do a little bit more, pressure than what you've done before. Just dig a little deeper. Think about those tissues just kind of melting around the surface of the ball. So start with some light touches and then just kind of dig in a little bit more and see what you find. Okay, we're gonna do it on both sides. We always kind of fall back to what's comfortable. So I'm not saying go super uncomfortable, but kind of find that edge where you're digging in, both in right at the middle and in that, especially in that arch space. We should be doing a lot of walking like I have. You really want to kind of find what's going on with those feet, because the more you can kind of open up, get those feet awake and alive, you'll get more activity up the chain as well. Remember, there's 26 bones in your feet. So we want to get those supple and moving around, and if that fascia is locked up, we can't get all those joints. 26 bones, there's a lot of joints in there. We got to get those joints moving. All right, so now we just go to a polka dot on that same foot, push down, hold, maybe wiggle the toes. And again, we're targeting any spots that you found might have been a little tight. And really, again, try to pin where you push down, hold, and then stretch. So we're really moving those toes as far apart from each other as we can. Push down and hold, stretch. And just kind of rocking under the ball, rocking off. Again, you can use a wall for support. You don't have to. Let's see if you can really get all those toes to move and get away from each other instead of be cramped up like they are in our shoes. Good, remember our breath. Go ahead and let's shake out that foot and go right into the other side, okay? So start with a few back and forth, nice and light, just kind of without thinking. This is where we default to. But see if you can go a little deeper, okay? Kind of dig in there from the ball of the foot to the heel of the foot. Just kind of get into that uncomfortable edge and see what you find. All right, don't forget the breath. Maybe you're cueing your breath just a little bit more, thinking about it a little bit more because it's a little bit on the uncomfortable side. But you don't want to push so hard that you're actually holding your breath. You're taking your breath away. All right, just a little bit longer here and again, kind of digging in. Remember scraping. So if I had wallpaper on the wall, I'm just kind of scraping that wallpaper off, getting into those fascia layers in the bottom of the foot, getting them just to release. All right, now on this side, same thing, push down, hold, maybe wiggle the toes, then release, move to another space, push down, hold, wiggle the toes, and release, find a new space. Good, just about 30 more seconds here. And don't be afraid to find the ball of your foot, right? Find right in the center and grip those toes up as if you're gonna pick that ball up off the floor and then push down and spread those toes up high. Do a couple reps of that, curling the foot and then getting into the extension of the toes. All right, just a few more here on the foot. Push down. Good, and then shake that out. So shake out both feet and calves, really kind of move the toes around, wiggle them a little bit. And then we're gonna come down to the floor and roll the calf area. So if you have a pillow, it might help to just kind of sit on top of that pillow a little bit. Bring it up a little bit higher so you can get a little bit better angle down on the calf. So the ball is gonna be underneath. And do a little up, down, A little side to side, a little circular pattern, whatever works. Rolling back and forth. I like to focus on that outside edge. Okay, so right here I'm going up and down that outer leg bone, that fibula. I have balls in there. So just by bending my knee, I can kind of find that space. And then for the inside, show you from this ankle, I'm working in right in this space between the Achilles and my big tibia bone and rolling up here. So same thing, I can just bend and straighten the knee a little bit and get that ball into that space. So I like to start down low, kind of work the spaces right above the ankle, right around the Achilles, and then work my way up. I spend a little time on that bigger gastroc muscle. And you can just alternate between legs here as you want. So that bigger gastroc muscle, the meaty part of it's there, right? I grab it, right? I'm gonna find that spot right in there. Push down, hold, and again, adding movement, whether it's just the toes or the toes and the ankle. And then we want always to spend time on that soleus. So if I pull a big gastroc to the outside, where my fingers end up is pretty much right in the middle of my calf. I'm going to put the ball down there and find that underlying muscle, that one that is responsible for that ankle flexion. Right, so you can do a little bit of internal, external rotation, a little bit of flexion, all that movement. Your primary mover there is your soleus, the underlying calf muscle. So again, inhales and exhales, breathing, hold, find a knot, get that movement in there. And we'll spend about 40 more seconds here on the calf. So go back to whatever you feel like you need to. And then we'll come up and stretch the feet and the calves. Just getting that movement in there, that blood flow in there, the fluids in there. Wake up those tissues. Good. Okay. And we're going to come on up and using your wall. I think I have the camera at a good angle here. Yeah. I'm going to do 10 toes forward, right? Focusing on that back foot. So my back heel is on the floor. Front foot forward. I have my hands in the wall. I can't really see them in the picture, but they're right here at my chest height. I'm going to put some pressure into the wall as I push pressure through my heel down into the floor. So again, not a 90-degree angle, but think of that opposition, pushing forward, pushing down. Let's start with that back knee straight. And feel that stretch in the upper part of my calf. Hold here for 3 inhales. And exhales. Good. Now I'm going to come up on those back toes and we're going to push up as if I'm going to take off in a run, take off in a sprint, and freeze, hold. So now I'm stretching the bottom of my foot and really trying to spread my toes wide here. So I don't have them crunched up like this, but spread out into the floor. Push them down, lift that heel up, and send the hip forward. Maybe get a little hip flexor lengthening as well. 3 breaths. Good. We're going to put that heel back down to the floor, actively pressing it down. Still hands pressing forward. This time we're going to drop the knee. Just bend the knee. Think about that kneecap reaching for the toes. Going straight down, and we're feeling that stretch lower down in that Achilles. Again, 3 breaths here. Good. We're going to come up. Tops of the toes into the floor, front of the ankle. Right? So this space right in here, I'm going to press that forward. Squeeze the glute, press the hip forward, and hold. And then on this, try to stand up nice and tall, lift the chest, keep that hip pressing forward. You have a nice tight glute here. You're gonna get a little stretch through the hip flexor as well. Good, and shake out that side. So we did top of the foot, bottom of the foot, calves, and switch. Okay, so I'm gonna put heel to the floor, hands forward, start with that straight knee, tuck in the tailbone, get a little lengthening here through that hip flexor for 3 breaths. Good, and then coming up as if I'm gonna take off, right? Actively pushing my toes down, again, tucking the hip, getting a little hip flexor lengthening. Good, and then pushing that heel back down. So actively push the heel down first, and then drop the knee. So bending the knee, just dropping that knee down towards the toes. Keeping that heel pressed down, bottom of the heels pressing to the floor. And then we're coming up, toes, and flip over. Tops of the toes down into the floor. Front of the heel forward, tailbone tucked. Getting a little lengthening here. We got a nice tight glute so that we can lengthen in the front. Standing tall, open the shoulders. Good, and shake it out. So grab your wall, come back to the ball, or grab your ball, come back to the wall. So we're gonna target a little bit of the upper quad. So not a bony landmark here, but a landmark here from the knee all the way to the hip, the big dense tissue called your IT band. So we're not gonna roll that. We want to target right now is the space in front of it. So think about IT band being a big strip that comes up along the side. So we're gonna go right on top of that. A little tricky. I don't know if you can see me very well, but I'm gonna just kind of squeeze the ball in between my thigh and the wall. And I'm just gonna kind of rock forward and back, and that ball is just kind of traveling down by my knee to up by my hip. And I have to do a little mini squat here as I do this, but I'm targeting that vastus lateralis. So right here, the outer part of that quad muscle, right? So the IT band is very thick, it's very dense. We're not gonna really change it by rolling, but we can kind of manipulate the tissues around that IT band. Sometimes that vastus muscle tends to just kind of get locked down with the IT band. So this could be one of those muscles it can be very uncomfortable to roll. So control how much pressure you're putting in there. Even just a little light touch back and forth will help to kind of get some fluid in there, get things moving around. Press and hold. So I have a tight spot right here. I'm just gonna hold it and breathe and just kind of imagine those tissues just melting. They're tight, 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 and just kind of melting around the ball. Good. So we're not going to spend a lot of time here. Like I said, it can be a real point tender. So we'll spend another minute. Just switch sides however you want to. You have one side that's significantly tighter than the other, and obviously spend more time there. But we're just targeting, you can see it here, just that upper part. We don't want to get down too low because that's less muscle tissue there, that's more IT band. So we're targeting this upper part of the vastus lateralis. Okay, so just doing a little mini squat. Just kind of rolling that ball up and down from the knee up towards the hip. Keeping the breath. Good. And then what we can do, because we're right next to the wall, we rolled a little bit of the quad. We didn't get on the front of the quad, but we did roll that lateral side. So since we're on the wall, let's use that wall to give that quad a little bit of a stretch. So bring the heel up as tight as you can into the butt. And notice my knee is underneath my hip. It's not out here, not forward, it's not back, but try to keep it tucked right in there. So that's tucking the tailbone as well, standing tall, pressing that hip forward. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. And inhale, exhale. Good. Same thing on the other side. Use your wall for a little support and target that quad. Okay, so you can turn this way. Okay, so heel into the butt nice and tight. You can also do this kneeling, kind of sticking your foot up into the wall. It's definitely a more intense quad stretch. If you want to Google it, it's called the couch stretch, but it's one of the best stretches you can do for the quad. Big inhales, exhales. Inhales, exhales. Good, and then shake that out. Still on the wall. Now let's find the lower glute, right? So the glute max on the wall. And just rolling a little side to side, a little diagonal. So think tailbone out to that ball and socket joint. And then once you're out in that space, maybe just kind of rolling that ball around that joint. Okay, tracing a line, staying in the lower part. So think of the bigger part of the booty, the glute max, and just alternate between sides. I'm going to stay in that lower glute, and then we'll work up to the higher glute before we come down and stretch. Just about 3 more minutes of rolling here, and then we'll finish up with our stretching. All right, so again, if you find a tight spot, press, hold, and just imagine the tissues just trying to release and melt around that ball. Maybe close your eyes. Imagine those tissues just letting go of their grip, their hold, and releasing. Good, and then we're gonna find that high glute space. So if you find that, again, that bony landmark, top of the pelvis, right? We wanna stay below the rim of the pelvis. We're not going above it, not on this. We're just gonna stay below the rim. Just kind of think about wedging that ball right up against the bottom side of the rim of the pelvis. Kind of dig it in as much as you can. Do a little side to side. And start high and then work your way down. So I'm going to do each side, kind of pinning the ball right underneath that ledge. So if this is the top edge of my pelvis, I'm just going to stick the ball in there and see if I can just work right underneath there, going side to side. Okay. Don't forget your breath. You don't want to take it onto the spine, onto the tailbone, just working right underneath there. And then take the ball and just move it, maybe not even a half of roll space down. So just take it a little bit lower. And now same thing, side to side. You're still in that upper glute space, that glute med space. And now you're going to be kind of at the top part of that ball and socket joint. You kind of come onto the side here. All right, so I'm right above the ball and socket joint. I'm kind of between the rim of my pelvis and that ball and socket joint, pushing straight in there. If you have a tight spot, you can reach up. And as you're pushing in the wall, lengthen with the upper body away. Again, to get a pin and stretch. All right, just rotating or alternating between sides here. Again, finding that high glute space. We already did kind of that inner part. We're going to hit the outer hip here. Good. Okay, so just about 30 more seconds here. On anything you want to roll, we're here on the wall, so hit glute max, high glute. You want to go back to the vastus lateralis, hit that. Remember to target the breath. Don't lose the breath ever. Big inhales and exhales. Good. All right. So shake everything out. Everything's rolled. Now we're going to go into our stretching. So we're going to start with your pillow if you have it. If you don't need it, you don't have to have it. I have an Eric's pad here. Little pillow works just as fine. We're going to come down to a half kneel. So I'm going to start with my knee down. That same foot, the toe is tucked. That gives me a little bit of an extra stretch to the bottom of the foot. And I'm in that 90, right? I'm actually going to bring my foot a little bit forward, a little bigger than 90 degrees here, because I'm going to come forward into that. So we don't want the knee to go past the toes. So knee that's down, that arm goes up. I'm going to climb the ladder, reach for the ceiling, lengthen, lengthen, lengthen. I want to lengthen out of the side body all the way from the shoulders down into the front of the hip. So inhale up, and then exhale, come forward. So notice my knee's going to come a little bit forward here. And then I'm going to come back. And again, I'm going to climb that ladder, lengthen, 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 lengthen. This back glute is tucked, it's tight, and then come forward just a little bit. So notice my back's not arching, right? I've just got that tailbone tucked, glutes tight, and I'm really focusing on that hip flexor stretch. Rocking back, bringing the arm down if you need a little break. Climbing that ladder back up. Inhale, 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 up, 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 up. Exhale, come forward. Good. Coming back now. This leg is going to be the straight leg. Heel down. I'm going to push that heel away. Same time, I'm going to pull my toe back. So again, that opposition, right? The back is going away. Front's coming up. And then I'm going to take that hip crease and pull it back. So I'm not just rounding my back and coming down to the floor. I'm actually reaching, pulling, hinging. Okay? Very controlled movement here. Got the quad tight on the top. So I'm going to feel that nice lengthening in the hamstring. Bring the hands down on the floor if that feels best to you. Big inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Good, and we're going to come on up, switch sides, right? So the down knee, that's the arm that's going to climb the ladder up. Inhale, inhale, lengthen, lengthen. We want to lengthen out the side body. Remember that front foot's a little bit forward because we're going to just sink into that front hip, and we don't want the knee to pass the toes. Good, rock back, bring the arms down if you need, and then lengthen up, climb the ladder, climb, 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 climb. And then exhale, come forward. Glute tight. Good, rock back, we go one more time. Climb, 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 climb. Up, 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 lengthen, exhale, come forward. Good, and heel down, toe pulling back, hinging at the hip. So take that hip crease, pull, 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 pull back. And we're going to, again, tighten on the top so that we can lengthen in the back. Big inhale, exhale. Good. Okay, so we're going to go back to that first leg side. Right, that knee is down, other foot is up. So we're going to go into what's called a runner's lunge. And with that back toes, those back toes tucked underneath, hands are going to come down inside that front foot, back toe is tucked, and then we're going to pick up that back knee. And as we pick up the back knee, we really want to tighten that glute so we can again stretch through the hip flexor, and then add just a little bit of a rock. So I'm just kind of rocking forward to back here. As I keep the belly button pulled in, the glute is tight, active stretch here. Good, and we're gonna come back down, come to a half kneel again, and switch sides. So runners stretch on this side, right? Back to a tuck, hands down in front of, or inside that front foot. Gonna tuck the toe, take up the knee by squeezing that glute. So glute's nice and tight, feeling that lengthening through the hip flexor. And then as we hold that knee lifted, it's a nice little rock forward back. And I want you to think about top of the head reaching forward, bottom of the heel reaching back, everything in between lengthening. Little rocks forward back. Good, and we're gonna come down, and I'm gonna turn just so you can see me. So we're gonna switch sides, go back to the first side. Right, same thing, right? Runner's lunge, I'm coming down inside my front foot. You can see me here. Back toe is tucked, bringing the back leg up. Now this time, see where my forearm and my elbow is inside that shin. Now I'm gonna lean a little bit side to side. Okay, so I'm just kind of leaning into that front leg. It's going out, and what we're doing here is doing a little more lubrication through that front hip joint. Still got that back knee lifted. Lengthening that back hip flexor. And continue with the breath. Good, and coming down, coming to the half kneel, switching other side. Okay, so we're here, back toe tucked, hands down, pick up the back knee, notice my arm or placement where it is, and I'm just kind of leaning into that front knee. And the knees going outside the hip and back, but I'm active through the hips and core. Everything through the hips and core is active here as I rock a little side to side. And just 2 more breaths. Good, and come down. All right, you can come all the way down to the floor. Grab your strap or your towel, whatever you have. You're gonna come onto the floor. So the next one we're gonna do is called a stirrup stretch. It's a little bit of a hip and hamstring lengthener. A lot of hip movement today, a lot of hip mobility, a lot of hip stretching. So stirrup stretch. I want you to really think about, again, keeping your hips anchored on the mat, right? You don't want to rock side to side. Just take a little time, maybe adjust things. You want to feel the back of the hips in the mat here. A little bit of space in the low back is natural, that's fine. Don't feel like you have to take that away. We just don't want to actively arch away from the mat. All right, so we're going to bring up one foot, and you can use your strap here. Okay, I can use my strap, kind of put it around the arch of my foot. So what a stirrup stretch is, I'm going to pull that heel in towards the center of my body, and then I'm going to come out and up. All right, so similar to a regular hamstring stretch, but here I'm kind of using that band to pull it in a little bit, and then I'm going to go out and up, and maybe I take it even a little bit out, just working that range. You can use the ball or the strap here to kind of move that leg, that ball and socket joint around. Again, keeping the hip anchored. Go a little bit in each direction. Just use your towel or your strap to help that movement. Just loosen up the hips. And then, again, doing that in to out. So we'll spend about 30 more seconds here on this leg. All right, doing the knee bend, and then some straight leg circles. Big inhales and exhales. Keeping that back of the hip anchored into the mat. Good. Okay. So just switching feet. Easiest thing to do, put that second foot up there, take the first out. Okay. So you might be able to see it a little bit better here. This leg, I have a wall here, but it can go straight if that's more comfortable for you. I'm just going to kind of tuck mine underneath. So I'm going to go foot into my center of my body and then out and up. Okay. Foot into the center and then out and up. Good. Nice and long. Then once you get out there, just explore moving that ball and socket joint with that nice long leg. One direction, then the other, keeping the hips still. Don't want too much rocking side to side here. And a little bit of that stirrup in to out. One more here for about 30 more seconds on this side. Good. And then you can continue to use your strap if you want to go into happy baby. So remember happy baby, you want to get the feet, bottoms of the feet parallel to the ceiling, quads parallel to the ceiling or as close as you can get. So using your strap to pull or just reach up and grab with your hands. And here you can just do a little nice rock, side to side. Get that low back, just get a nice little massage as you rock side to side. And if you want to, you can extend one leg out as you hold the other. You can extend both legs out and continue that rock. Good. And then I just want you to grab behind the knees, pull those knees into your chest, shoulders out of the ears, maybe pull those elbows down towards the hips a little bit and into the floor, and just move the feet. Just circle them. So as we're here pulling the knees into the chest, think about taking your tailbone and pressing it down into the floor. So it's not curling up off the floor, but you're actually actively pushing it down. And just move at the ankle. Good. And we're going to come on down, feet flat on the floor. So using your pillow, if you have it, just put it on your right side. So just on the right side of your body. Let's do a little lying twist here. So get your right leg straight. Okay. Pillow's going to be on that side. Pulling your left knee to your chest. And as you pull that left knee in, really think about reaching long through that right heel. If you have the wall, you can even push a little bit into that wall. Get a little bit more activation, a little bit more lengthening for 3 breaths. Now we're going to continue with the hip stretch, but get a little thoracic rotation as well. Grab the outside of that left knee. We're going to pull it across the body, and you're just going to let it come down to the pillow. You can get a little bit higher. You can use a second pillow or fold your pillow in half. And just let that knee and lower leg rest in that space, okay? So from here, you can take your left arm up, 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 reaching for the ceiling, and then exhale, open up to the left side. Taking your eyes, if you can, to follow your hand. Just a light touch, holding that knee down so it doesn't pop up. and just finding your range of motion, right? Don't look to see what other people are doing. You don't need to. You're in your own space. Just focus on yourself. Just open up to the left. Whatever your space is, that's okay. Just become aware where you are and what feels good. And your breath. Come back and let's open up one more time on the exhale. Good. And then pulling that knee, make sure you're pulling it up and towards your chest as you come back to center. And we're going to switch. So easy to just park both feet. Just move that pillow to the other side. And now we're going to pull in the right, lengthen to the left. So spend some time here lengthening through that left heel, pushing into the wall if you have it. Hugging that right knee into your chest. Just think of that opposition as you pull a knee in. You're reaching the opposite heel forward. 3 breaths. And then we're going to take that leg across. Okay? So make sure your knee is at least hip level, if not a little bit higher here. Because we want this rotation to come from the thoracic spine, so the part of your spine that the ribs are attached to, not that lumbar spine. And bringing that knee up a little bit higher will keep that lumbar spine protected from rotation. Big inhale up. Exhale. And when you're ready, inhale, bring your arms back to your body. And then exhale, open them back up again. And just do some breaths here, whatever feels good. Good. And again, hugging that knee into your chest, rolling back. And then I encourage you to find your wall, either going legs entirely up the wall or just putting those knee or feet on the wall, finding the 90-90 position in hips and knees. And then arms just out to a T, maybe up to a Y, whatever feels comfortable to you in this space. Feet hip distance apart. You can have the knees apart, or you can just kind of let them fall together. Or you can send your legs completely up the wall. What I want you to do is just think about gravity working here. Let gravity, just let those hips sink into the floor. Big inhales and exhales. This is where I want you to really tune into the breath. Think about beginning the breath in the belly. So as you inhale, start to fill that belly. And then take that fill into the diaphragm. And filling it further into the lungs, lower lungs, and then even further into the upper lungs, spreading the rib cage apart. And on an exhale, reversing, starting with the lungs and rib cage into the diaphragm, finishing with the belly, pulling that belly button in a little bit, pulling that pelvic floor up toward your center, sending the rest of the breath out before starting again. Big inhale, belly, diaphragm, lungs, ribs, and reverse. And I encourage you to do at least 4 to 5 of these breaths, just on your own. Good. So just stay here. Continue with the breath. Allow gravity to just work on those hip sockets, letting the hips joints just kind of fall down into the floor, releasing the tissues around the hips, and focus on your breath. And I will see you all on Wednesday. Have a great rest of the day, everybody.